My name is Bill Wahlberg. I'm from El Dorado Hills, California.
I'm Mark Langston. I'm a junior.
I'm Karen Bentley, and I'm a junior at the University of Kansas.
My name is Jessica Bergman. I'm 18 years old, and I'm a junior at KU.
I've always been interested in politics and just following Senator Dole's career. And one of the first elections I remember, a senator from Kansas was running for president. That's kind of a big deal when you live in the middle of the country.
I want to major in political science and international studies and English, and I hope to first work for the State Department, and then eventually I would love to work for the UN on the legal committee.
I've also met the senator himself. It was my first introduction to Senator Dole, was in the Institute, and I actually, he came for his book, and during the book signing, which he stayed for hours and hours for, I actually was his page turner.
Well, the Dole Institute has definitely helped me in viewing things on a more bipartisan level.
Being a Democrat, I wasn't sure that this place was entirely, bipartisan as it was supposed to be. But, once I got into those groups and became really active in the Institute, I've discovered that the Institute was entirely bipartisan.
Before coming here, I didn't really get along with Democrats as well as I do now. That's probably the biggest thing.
I love walking in every day to go to work and just the feeling you get when you walk in through the doors and looking up at the flag and stuff.
I'm really lucky to be here and to have met the people that I've met. That's made a tremendous impact on my life, and I think the example Senator Dole has set is something that many can follow, and even people that may have been 11 years old last time he ran for office, like myself, they can learn something from him and definitely carry that on into the future.
There are a lot of people out there. They may be rich, they may be poor, they may be black, they may be brown or white or young or old, with real problems. And I think, unless you've really experienced one yourself, sometimes you're a little slow in recognizing problems other people have.
What was your injury, by the way?
Well, I was, like a lot of people, I was wounded rather severely in Italy in World War II, and had a complete paralysis, had a fractured vertebra in my neck. I still don't have good feeling in my left hand. And
that's the right hand what?
Right hand I don't use much at all.
The fact that I've had a problem, a serious problem, I didn't give up, and I overcame it, and I was successful.
And this is Main Street, Russell, Kansas, a town that throughout the rest of his life has always meant a great deal to him.
Did before, if I've done anything, it's because of people I've known up and down Main Street, and I can recall the time when I needed help, the people of Russell helped. And I think...
Are you a Republican because your father was a Republican?
My parents were Democrats. I've told the story when I first got out of the hospital. Both parties wanted me to be a Democrat and a Republican. And the Democrat chairman said, Bob, you ought to be a Democrat. And he was a very nice man. Republican chairman said, Bob, you ought to be a Republican. Let me tell you one thing, there are twice as many of us in this county as Democrats. And I said, I've just made a great philosophical judgment.
In 1968, Dole got the chance to move up from the House and into the Senate when Kansas Senator Frank Carlson retired. Dole went on to win his party's nomination and the election.
Of course, as a new freshman senator, there are many things that I'm anxious to know about.
Like all Republican candidates in '74, he faced a backlash from Watergate.
I urge you to vote for Bob Dole. Don't send us another worn-out liberal. Send us a conservative, Bob Dole.
It was the roughest campaign Kansas had ever seen, but it worked.
Dole will win by 52% of the vote over Dr. William Roy, the Democratic challenger.
Obviously, my role, as Jerry Ford says in his book, President Ford, was to go into the briar patch and keep Carter and Mondale on their toes. And I think I did a pretty good job of that. But I think when you do that, you're carrying... I was the heavy. And I didn't shrink from it, but I must say that I didn't think that was the real Bob Dole.
As a matter of fact, in a newspaper poll of Capitol guards, doorkeepers, and elevator operators, Bob Dole came out the friendliest senator on the Hill.
I want to express my deep appreciation to Senator Dole for the indispensable role that he has played in all of this. His leadership in the Senate, his strong hand, and his responsible voice have made a difference. He's forged a tough working alliance between the Senate and the executive branch. And Bob, from the heart, I thank you.
The man in the middle of what is becoming a head-on collision between the President and Congress is Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole of Kansas. But Dole has more than a strictly political interest in these matters. After all, his wife is Transportation Secretary Elizabeth Dole.
Elizabeth is Elizabeth Hanford Dole, his wife, the Secretary of Transportation. Together, they are Washington's hottest couple, the only couple in town with his and her photo ops.
She started out a Democrat. She's really improved herself a lot. She's now a Republican.
And like Americans, generally farmers are paying more for everything they buy. We feel it's a problem the government must do the most to solve.
The 5 remaining candidates are locked in a crucial test of political strength, which New Hampshire voters will decide upon in 2 days.
But the bottom line is this. We can't lose our clean water and our clean air. If we lose the environment, we've lost the battle. Noriega ought to get out of there. When you can get Jesse Helms and Ted Kennedy to join in an amendment condemning Noriega, you've seen everything but the millennium. And,
See, Bob Dole grew up in Kansas in a small farm town. Didn't have the prep school education or the sterling silverware or the bumper pool table in the basement. Didn't have the shower massage, the 5-way adjustable heads, the sit-down lawnmower. Bob Dole didn't have these things.
Now, wait a minute. Can I say something here?
George, I'm not finished yet.
No, I'm not going to back down.
I didn't
Bob,
have
say
the little chrome hat with the George...
Well, you have to have a fairly thick skin, particularly if you get in the political side.
The Wall Street Journal, for example, ran the following headline over a profile last fall, which you probably remember. Ferocious ambition drives political junkie Dole, but candidate lacks carefully fixed philosophy.
Otherwise, it's a very objective piece.
I know it, you know it, the people here tonight know it, American people know it, we all know it. Bob Dole from Russell, Kansas is going to be the next president of the United States, so why don't you just go on back home to your summer home in Maine, your automatic garage door opener, your electric safe knife.
I am a conservative. I'm not, I don't want to suggest otherwise, but I think you can be a conservative and still be sensitive and compassionate. And if we're going to build the Republican Party, as I want to build the Republican Party, then I want to reach out and bring more people in. The one chairmanship I kept when I was majority leader was Nutrition Committee, dealing with the WIC program, food stamps, school lunch, because I understand those programs, understand the need for those programs.
When people ask me why I ran for president, I will say because I wanted to make a difference. And that desire will remain with me for as long as I live. And so I congratulate George Bush and wish him well in November, because as I've said many, many times, the bottom line is keeping the White House Republican. That's the bottom line. This floor criticized President Bush without ever mentioning Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein can end this today. He can end it tomorrow.
May God bless Richard Nixon. And may God bless the United States.
So the Bible tells us, to everything there is a season. And I think my season in the Senate is about to come to an end. But the new season before me makes this moment far less the closing of one chapter than the opening of another.
Tonight I stand before you, tested by adversity, made sensitive by hardship, a fighter by principle, and the most optimistic man in America.
I, Robert J. Dole, do solemnly swear Sorry, wrong speech.
Can I see some ID? Driver's license, passport, military ID?
There's a new Bob Dole on your TV set, showing off the sense of humor he was once well known for.
I just can't win.
Bob Dole let you know everything when he ran for president, from my military record to my congressional record to my favorite record, Cheap Trick, live at the Budokan.
Who'd you expect? Bob Dole?
Hi, Bob.
Dole says he has turned down many ads, including a beer commercial. He hopes his new hobby sends out a message.
If you fail on one thing, let's try something else. Start a new chapter.
Those traits have served him well in his post-election appearances on late-night television.
I haven't finished my story yet, Robert.
Wake me when it's over, Dave.
17 times going for the big prize and losing. She's like the Bob Dole of daytime television. This is unbelievable. You know, it is so unbelievable.
I watch C-SPAN from time to time. It's exciting and thrilling. And watch my colleagues in the Senate and the ones that are awake. And
Bob Dole doesn't like that joke. Bob Dole is fed up. You know, Bob Dole's had 5 years of this, Leno. And
here now, the long-awaited Bob Dole modeling footage from 1941, I'm told.
Yeah, thank God we had that arrow.
Do you think that the American people knew you were such a funny guy?
well, I don't know. In fact, when I made the Visa commercial, after I made it, people wrote me by the hundreds saying if you'd have made that commercial before the election, you know, I'd have voted for you. So
Will Mrs. Dole be running for the presidency?
What if she reads my book? You know?
There are many here today who bear battle scars. I can never forget the losses suffered by the greatest generation. It was, in a very real sense, a crusade for everything that makes life worth living.
Take pride in the past, but we all live for the future. And I agree with the prairie poet Carl Sandburg, who told us, yesterday is a wind gone down, a sun dropped in the west. I tell you that there's nothing in the world, only an ocean of tomorrows, a sky of tomorrows.